Okay, so in order to do the build you guys are about to watch, I had to get Poppy. So I don't typically like getting villagers on treasure islands, but I really wanted Poppy. So the only issue and problem is that Poppy is currently in Raymond's house wearing Raymond's clothes. So clearly something is glitched on this treasure island. But I mean, I got her. So I'll insert a picture of what she looked like moving onto the island. She had Raymond's exterior, but you know what? She's here and she's wearing her own clothes now. So clearly something must have worked out. But anyway, yeah. So hi, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name's Dalia, and as you guys can tell by the title of the video, we're making Poppy her own apple orchard today on my like spooky medieval weird island of Grim Isle. I have no idea what to even call this island. You can kind of see the vibe of the island. Here's the two builds we've done so far. My entrance and then this kind of like spooky forest. And we're going to be building back here. Basically, I didn't know where I was going to do this build, but I'm like, let's just continue from where we last left off. So yeah, we're going to be building Poppy her own little apple orchard with some spooky elements thrown in. So I hope you guys enjoy. I would love if you would like and comment on the video and subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more videos from me. And yeah, happy Halloween, by the way. I'm posting this on Halloween, which is exciting, you know, posting like a spooky kind of video on Halloween. I actually managed to make this video or this build in one day. I'm very proud of myself because usually it does take me a few days to put builds together. But anyway, let's get started. So first thing I'm doing is just figuring out where I want Poppy's house to be. This entire build was very spontaneous and last minute, but I really wanted to have a video up for Halloween as I don't typically have a video schedule. I was just, you know, I really wanted to have one up for Halloween, considering obviously this island is not going to be completed by Halloween. I wanted at least to have a build go up for it on Halloween. So I'm just deciding the location of Poppy's house. I wanted a little bit closer to the entrance than I had originally placed it. And I wanted you to be able to see it quite nicely from the little castle archway. So then after grabbing it, I went over to Resident Services and grabbed Poppy's house. I am going to be customizing it as well. Compared to how I customized Olive and Maple's houses in the last one, where I made them more like rustic little like shacks, I guess you can kind of call them. I wanted to make Poppy's house a little more like a wood cabin. So I went with like a darker brown just to kind of complement the colors of like the brown trees, and there's gonna be a lot of red. See, look at her. Okay, look at her what happened to her house. Like, for some reason she had Raymond's wallpaper and flooring. Everything else in the house was her furniture, so I just quickly had to customize her exterior. I'm gonna be going back and actually customizing all the villagers' homes and interiors later, but for right now I'm just leaving them as is. So yes, I'm giving Poppy more of a like wooden cabin kind of vibe, just to kind of go with the orchard. So I just time traveled, moved to her house. There is Tex hanging out. He's still here on the island. And we can get started. So I'm really not quite sure why I started this build by building up cliffs. I really didn't want to do any terraforming for this build, but I did want to place some vines on some cliff edges. So that's mainly the reason that I'm making this little cliff right next to Poppy's house. I do terraform some of the cliffs towards like the castle gates at the beginning of this build, like towards the entrance. Don't really do anything past this, like kind of extending the cliffs like I'm doing right here. This second tier, I haven't even started thinking about how I'm going to go about doing it, but I just kind of wanted to frame the area a little bit better, and just basically continue off from where I left it in the last video. And also the little area that's going to be to the left of Poppy's house, she's going to have her own like apple pie, apple tree stand where you can like buy apple pie and everything. And that's where the spooky element kind of comes in, because the apples and the apple pie that you can buy from Poppy's house may or may not be like laced with poison, maybe. I don't know. I just trying to think of like cute little spooky elements. You'll kind of see as I start to decorate like the more magical elements to the build. They're very subtle, but they're there. So just think of this as a, like, you know, a cute little squirrel. She's selling her apple pie, but it may or may not be laced with something that's not necessarily meant to be there. So I'm just placing down this pathing. This is kind of like a really dirty brown leaf design, or like grass design. I really like how it complements the yellow of the grass, because this is the time of year I will be setting my dream address, and I've used this on more of the natural areas of the island. So like in the forest I did in my previous build, and this one as well. Now I'm placing down the dirt pathing because I was like, oh, let's place dirt pathing and then I'll put the trees here. I liked it, but then honestly I just immediately changed my mind and got rid of it. I'm just trying to find like more reasons to have like natural pathing on my island, and I haven't quite managed to figure out how to do that. I'll probably do that when I make like little farming areas. But I felt like it was a little too structured, and I wanted this build to kind of complement the forest I have further down, where the trees are just kind of thrown around, very messy. So I went to a treasure island and grabbed a bunch of apple trees, and first, before I place down the apple trees, I'm just going to be placing down a couple of the giant vines. Once again, this is just going to kind of like be a continuation of the forest that I created in my last build for this island, where even though you have like natural plants growing on this island, there's still a lot of like death and decay, as it's meant to be like an abandoned medieval island that has been taken over by witches. So then I started placing the apple trees down. You will see I'm trying to place as many as possible, but throughout the video I'm starting to realize that like it was a little too crowded. I wanted to be able to walk the area and really see like Poppy's house and the area surrounding her house. So I actually end up getting rid of quite a few of the trees that I place on the left side, where I'm placing the items down right now, just so you can get a better view of her house. And then what I like about the second tier is I'm able to create a little bit of height with the trees, and then I'm placing 2 apple trees there. And yeah, and then this area right here, like I said, I wanted to make just like a little apple stand, like an apple pie stand. So I'm going to be making Poppy kind of like an outdoor kitchen, where she can also like sell her pies. And I wanted to completely close off the space from like with cliffs, so that I could place some items just on the edges of the cliffs, and then it's just kind of more closed off. Like you kind of really do have to walk through the forest in order to access this area. I think this is going to be the only entrance to the area. I'm probably going to block off the rest of it with cliffs. Then I'm placing down this mossy stone. I've used this on a couple of builds on my island so far. I like the contrast to the darker stone and the darker wood that I'm using on my island with this gray tone. And if you are curious for any of the custom designs that I'm using on this island, I have them all linked in the description below, with the creator codes and the creator's social media if I was able to find it. But yeah, I'm just kind of throwing it down kind of in a messy way. A lot of the pathing that I'm using for this island are meant to be like very run down, very like broken pieces of pathing, which is why I'm using a lot of like the rustic or broken, the mossy items. and then like a lot of the damaged items. And then I started placing the stonework kitchen, and because I like the height of the stonework kitchen when facing the opposite way, I decided to use 2 of them facing backwards to kind of act like a wall. I was originally going to use medieval building sites or maybe even the castle walls, but I wanted this area to kind of be sectioned off from like the castle portions of the island, so not necessarily to actually use the castle items, but instead like use an alternative. And it has the same colorway as the castle items, so that's what I chose to use. And then I'm placing the stall item down with a really nice red leaf pattern because I felt like it went really nicely with the apple trees. And then yeah, as you can tell, it's kind of just meant to be like an outdoor kitchen. And then I'm just kind of throwing random items down. I wasn't originally going to use the stonework kitchen as an actual kitchen, but I feel like it kind of looks like a cauldron that a witch could use. And then I don't know. And then I'm throwing down apple pie because obviously for this build you need apple pie. And Poppy was hanging out in the area as I was decorating, which made me really, really happy. And then I removed some of the trees, as I mentioned before, and then I made her just like a little sitting area. I mentioned in my last build that I don't need to make sitting areas for all of my villagers, but I really wanted to give Poppy her own little, just like a little spot, so I gave her like a rocking chair with some tea. I'm trying to find a mix between cozy and spooky, which I think I'm achieving. Also, please ignore Audie. Like, I know you want to move off this island. Trust me, I know you're not going to be a permanent villager. She's probably going to be moving to my tropical island, which if you haven't seen, I just posted a new video on that island after like almost 2 months. So go check that out. I made my shopping area. I'll leave the link to that video if you would like to check me out. Trying to balance working on 2 different islands is quite an experience, but I had a lot of fun creating that build. It was a lot of fun to like transition away from this island and go back to my more tropical city style island. And no offense to Audie, but can you please get out of the way? You are making it so difficult to build. So at this point I was basically done with the like little kitchen slash apple pie stand, and then I was creating more of the natural sections of the build by placing down a lot of leaf piles and weeds, using the glowing moss, and just kind of like moving items around. As I was placing a lot of the weeds down and things, I was starting to realize that a few of the sections that I had placed trees down were a little too crowded. So in a couple of minutes I will be removing and kind of thinning certain areas of the build just to make it more viewable, because when it's really crowded, it also just it doesn't make photos look really good when you're taking photos. And I wanted you to be able to see every aspect of the build, like all the details that go into like certain sections and certain areas. So yeah, after placing down a lot more like natural elements, I started placing some spooky items. Really no like particular order or way of placing them down. I'm just including spooky items and pumpkins and just every aspect of every build for this island. Once again, just tying in the more spooky element. So I'm just kind of throwing like some spooky towers and some lanterns just throughout the trees, placing the lanterns on top of like mush items and log stools just to give them a little more height. And in this area I mainly use orange, I believe. In certain sections of the island, I'm going to be using different colors of the spooky items, but for this one, to kind of complement the red of the trees and everything, I went with orange. And then I didn't know what to place back here. I was originally placing some caves, like in the more like mossy color, but I decided just to place a jail bar just because I wanted to like hide the back of the like of Poppy's house. And then here is where I started thinning out the little area to the left of Poppy's house. I cut down one of the trees and left some of the like fallen apples on the ground. I think they added a nice little element of realism, I guess. And then I remembered that I had to decorate with some shrubs. I realized in my last video, I don't think I decorated it with any shrubs in my little forest, so I'm gonna have to go back and plant some. I either always remember to decorate with shrubs or I don't remember at all, but I use the hibiscus ones just because I like the way that the colors of the more brown leaves look this time of year with that certain shrub. And then the last thing I'm doing is just planting a couple of flowers here or there, mainly using like black and a couple of green and yellow, or not yellow, orange flowers. My favorite one to use for this island I think are going to be the black tulips, just because I like the way that they look in contrast with the more warm tones of the fall weather. And yeah, just kind of like going around and throwing them down in random order, random places, placing a bunch in between the trees so I can cut up some of the weeds I'd placed down. And then I time traveled to grow the weeds and have them be to like their longer growth. And then also time traveled to later on in the day. This is probably going to be the time of day where I set my dream address, which is kind of like 5 p.m. when the sun is starting to set, so it's like that golden hour. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and without further ado, let's go check out the final build. Alright, that is everything for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed. This was probably one of the easiest builds I've ever made. It was very quick, very simple, and I kind of am in love with it. I'm so excited to have Poppy back on my island. As you guys know, she's one of my absolute favorite villagers, so I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more videos from me. And yeah, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Happy Halloween again, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!